CSE has been shown to improve adolescent sexual reproductive health or SRH knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors when implemented well. Before commencing the development of a CSE program, stakeholders including youth should agree on the program's aims. This has already taken place. As a result, this approach simply provides the materials and guidance for rolling out CSE training and provides teachers with how-to materials to develop their own session guides. For the national CSE training, DepEd has prescribed that most teachers intend to implement CSE, but only a few of them have started. They need support to increase intention and behavior in implementing CSE and improve the quality of outcomes. In this video, the steps prescribed based on the insights from a baseline assessment of capacities in teaching CSE of Philippines public school teachers from Regions 1, 7 and 11 will be considered and discussed. Step 1. Increase awareness about CSE. Awareness campaigns and orientations should be rolled out to clarify the scope and limitations of implementing the CSE curriculum. The awareness campaigns must emphasize the features desired for an effective CSE curriculum and clarify the common misconceptions about CSE. Aligned with the common misconceptions about CSE, some teachers are apprehensive about implementing CSE due to questions or concerns about CSE's age appropriateness, CSE possibly leading to sex or confusion, and CSE going against cultural or religious beliefs. The teachers should also be reminded that using up-to-date scientific knowledge can be balanced with being culturally responsive. Furthermore, interventions should include information on where and how to access the different resources such as funding, learners' materials, teachers' resources, co-curricular programs and mentoring. Step 2. Increase self-efficacy in teaching CSE. Having more experience in teaching CSE and being able to picture themselves teaching CSE would increase one's self-efficacy. For teachers to have actual experience, the DepEd and school administration should ensure that CSE is being implemented through concrete monitoring and evaluation processes instituted in the school. More than the required lesson plans and logs, the administration could support teachers in coming up with their own way of monitoring their progress in implementing CSE. They know what would work best in their school context, and this could also deepen their ownership in implementing CSE. They could start the process by having a workshop or structured learning experience to determine their goals and success indicators, then brainstorm and prototype simple and easy to implement solutions for monitoring their progress. Step 3. Map and convene lead stakeholders in the city that are involved or can be involved in CSE. Mayor to call for meeting. She can utilize existing governance or coordinative body like the city's school board, CIT or TCI's city leadership team to discuss CSE implementation. City health officer, local population officer or specific person assigned by the city mayor to do pre-work meeting with the Department of Education through regional superintendent covering the city to level off areas of objectives and target outputs during the mayor's meeting with the stakeholders. Proposed objectives of the meeting. 1. Determine the current updates of the CSE development implementation at the national level as per DepEd Order No. 31, Series of 2018 and DepEd Memorandum No. 2020-0237. Subject: National Online Training of Teachers on the Integration of CSE in the K-12 Basic Education Curriculum. Explain the situational analysis of the city's school system and adolescents and youth profiles based from the deep dive activity and other primary and secondary data available. This can be achieved by the following. 1. City's health system detailing the number of schools, teachers, accomplishments and challenges and the education indicators like completion rate and dropout rates, etc. 2. Existing CSE efforts or its equivalent that have started, done by the city. 3. Number of students particularly ages 10 to 19 years old enrolled as per current school year vis-a-vis some vis past 2 years at all levels. Elementary, high school and vocational schools and college, university. 4. Number of students that are city residents and non-residents, and migrants, if available. 5. Number of students become pregnant or first-time parents while in school in the current year and in the past 2 years if available. Recognize the importance of CSE implementation of the city and how serious is the issue of teenage pregnancy. Identify immediate next steps as to the implementation of CSE in the city despite the limitations of the national government rolling it out to non-pilot cities yet. Step 4. City sends formal communication to Department of Education at the central and regional level regarding CSE implementation. Signed by the city mayor, the letter can contain the city's recognition of teenage pregnancy as national social emergency, as per former NETA Chair Ernesto Pernia, 2019, thereby city's expression to call for urgency in reducing teenage pregnancy and adolescent births and its city support and interest to start the CSE implementation already or for the interim develop localized CSEs if nationwide rollout is not yet available. City to request all the possible resources that can be solicited from the national government for technical assistance, fund support, human resource complement, etc. Step 5. Mayor with TCI City Leadership Team, CIT or its equivalent body together with DepEd Regional Director calls for a high-level meeting with the schools. Mayor calls for a high-level meeting together with the DepEd Regional Director, Division Schools Superintendent and elementary and high school principals from private and public schools, Alternative Learning System, ALS, as well as the university officials to share his vision for the city and explain how the CSE will be used as an approach in faster reduction of teenage pregnancy and adolescent births in the city. Step 6. Create a detailed plan and budget for the implementation of localized CSEs in the schools under the target barangay utilizing existing materials. If the TCI geographies TCI diffusion sites are not a CSE pilot city of the national government, then a city technical working group on CSE led by the city population officer together with DepEd should create a plan and budget for the implementation of localized CSEs in the city, particularly in schools under the target barangays that have high rates of teenage pregnancies and adolescent births. Step 7. Conduct preparatory work prior to the CSE launch. The city should already conduct preparatory works prior to the CSE launch, i.e., training of trainers or retooling on currently available modules, materials. Materials for teachers to adapt locally were 1. Learning Now, Learning New, Learning Next. Orientation of teachers on the awareness of CSE. 2. CSE Primer for parents and guardians, manual, PowerPoints, and printables. 3. Shape modules. 4. Training designs for teachers, and 5. Other CSE resources, such as Roots for Health's K-12 CSE curriculum. Step 8. Rollout of localized CSEs in target barangays. As the CSEs are being rolled out in the city, the following are examples of leadership acts of TCI engaged leaders at the city and barangay level. These will be covered in greater detail as part of the Practicum in Leadership for Adolescent and Youth-Friendly Cities, LAYFC. The city mayor shall issue or endorse policy to implement localized comprehensive sexuality education, present to DepEd and other stakeholders the progress of localized CSE efforts and solicit support to strengthen it, and instruct the team to adjust the localized CSE once the national CSEs has been rolled out. The city leadership team led by the city population officer. 1. Recommend and remind to mayor the possible of CSE budget if needed. 2. Engage youth leaders' participation in service delivery and demand services. 3. Local population officer leads the meetings developing the CSE modules. 4. Coaches others by identifying development opportunities to help them make the most of their skills and potential. And 5. Encourages participation of other stakeholders who may have different perspectives on CSE. The barangay leaders monitors the CSE implementation in the schools covered by his/her barangay, and issue or endorse policy to implement localized comprehensive sexuality education. Youth group leaders also participates in CSE in schools covering his barangays and promotes in social media and other platform the CSE. Step 9. Monitor and evaluate the CSE implementation. The city must conduct a mid-year, end-of-year and post-school year monitoring and evaluation of its milestones, accomplishments and challenges. The data analysis should include number of students reached with CSE versus number of adolescent births and teenage pregnancies. Also, a survey can be done to see if CSE has association and correlations with delays in sexual debut among adolescents and youth and reduction of second pregnancies for adolescent and youth first-time parents who are currently enrolled in school. Step 10. Adjust localized CSEs in the event that the nationwide CSE is ready for implementation. The TCI geographies diffusion sites must adjust and complement their existing localized CSE efforts in the event that the national government is set to roll out the CSE in their city. This is with the assumption that the city will develop and implement localized CSEs first, while waiting for the nationwide's rollout. The CSE integration is considered successful when these have been attained. 1. Policy issuances of the LGUs supporting CSE. 2. Training of teachers. 3. Actual integration of CSE in lesson plans of teachers. 5. Evidence of its short-term impact, i.e., quick survey on knowledge and attitudes of students receiving lessons with CSE integration. And 5. Evidence at the outcome level, e.g., changes in adolescent birth rate. Resources needed for interpersonal interface includes venue, equipment and printed materials. There you have it, the 10 steps on how to implement the comprehensive sexuality education. I hope you can be able to implement CSE in your community and school. For more informative and educational videos, you may scroll down on my YouTube account. It's Narissa Beatriz. See you again for more videos. This is Ma'am Neri. Thank you for listening and God bless you all.